2 houses, proof of concept. You're like, holy shit, I'm going to quit my job. Let's talk about you quitting your job.
Okay.
Let's talk about 2 things. Your internal battles, because this is going to serve a lot of people. Your internal battle, because you were programmed a certain way from your father, right? And college, you went to college. So what was your internal battles that you had to face when you were going to quit corporate America? Let's start with that.
You know, that's a very good question, because I wouldn't say I was programmed, because I've always known that I was a lot different than everybody else. So what led up to me actually quitting was, I guess, backstory. I was originally in technical sales, selling multi-million-dollar projects to these executives, and I was just like way too young to actually make the sale.
Did you ever make a sale?
Yeah, I made a few sales.
How much revenue did you bring to the company?
It was small numbers for the company, like $200,000 contracts, $300,000. But like conceptually, for a 21-year-old out of college to tell a, director of whatever how to efficiently build out like certain things in your business, there just wasn't. It was too much friction. So everybody understood that. So they moved me to a project management role, and this is where kind of it all went down. And I was on the operations team. And I was always the last one in the building from the operations team, and I got there at 5 a.m. And I remember one day I show up, open my laptop to start cranking out some emails, and I had like 250 emails from all these different projects we were working, because, in the operations world, everybody wakes up at the crack of dawn. And I'm sitting there looking at my inbox, and I'm like, man, I could...
There's got to be something better.
I'm like, I could answer all these emails, or I could just quit. And
did you already have your projects going?
No, I was full blown involved in construction projects, like that State Farm project on Tempe Town Lake. Like we did all the HVAC.
No, I'm saying you personally. Did you already have your real estate flips going?
I did. So I had something that I could go and occupy myself with.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about programming and like me, like the events that led up to it, I didn't have any internal battles. When I like, for me to make the decision to quit, like it just was. It was
calculated, I think.
Huh?
It was calculated.
It was calculated. Like the thing about me is like I do like what I want when I want, and as long as there's no like I'm not hurting anybody or whatever, I'll go do it. But
so calculated and morally.
Yeah. But I just, because, if I was just your average person, they would have thought about it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Well, think about it, right? Your dad and mom, they made huge sacrifices in sending you to college. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
And then I believe that the reason why you didn't have so much internal resistance is because you never really had a job like that.
Yeah.
You get think about it. How many years of your life have you actually been employed?
That was the longest 2.5 years.
That's why you were like just burnt out.
Yeah, I guess from that perspective, it's easy because it wasn't part of my life.
Most people in corporate America, like they're at these jobs for 5, 10 years, 15 years.
But this is like if I'm like looking from a bird's eye view, like what you did is you had these projects going because you felt like there's more to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's something more. And you knew there's money going to come from them, whether it's 50 grand, 60 grand, 70 grand, whatever that may be. And then when you decide to quit, you already had a fallback so most people's second guess is, what am I going to do after? What am I going to do now? He already knew.
Worst case scenario?
Exactly. So worst case for him, there's 2 things. What am I going to do now? I'm going to go continue my projects that I'm going to make money from.
Yeah.
What am I going to do next? I'm going to replicate the same thing that's working. Unlike somebody else was like, well, if they quit today, they have nothing to fall back to, nor they can have something that they can replicate. He already had something that he can fall back to. Number one. Number 2 is replicatable. Mm-hmm. That it's like he knows the how. But the one thing that I guess most people would probably feel bad about or like have to ponder on is, am I going to let my parents down? That they spent X amount of money in those years. So maybe that for someone who's at least I'm like calculated like you, because I know you on a personal level.
Well, you went through that too, though. You went through your
but it's calculation. So that the reason I'm speaking like this with confidence, because it's based on calculation, based on what's next, what's now, what's next. So what's now to fall back to, what's next, and morally, and how do you feel about it, right? So the feel is the one thing that would probably you kind of feel bad about, and that's probably he probably can answer.
Yeah, no, that was a great perspective, because I never really sat back and reflected on, why I just left and quit. But yeah, that was a hard conversation when I called my parents. You know, I called my...
Did you feel like you were letting them down?
You know, I always knew I would be okay, and...
They didn't.
They didn't, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, they didn't, and I don't blame them. But I called my dad first, and coincidentally enough, I was going to go see them in a week because it was coming up on Thanksgiving. And I called my dad, and he's like, "Oh shit! Well, you got to tell your mom when you get here." And so yeah, my mom's worries about me quite a bit. My dad believe he knows I'll be okay, but you know, it's your mother.
Yeah.
You got to be a little bit more gracious with your mom.
Yeah. Let that serve anybody who's out there listening and watching is, you know, 99% of the time, the goal that you're chasing, the vision that you're having, like nobody can see it and nobody can feel it the way that you can. Mm-hmm. And, you know, your dad at the time, you know, he probably believes in you. And that was more than enough for him. And, you know, your mom definitely, you know, she didn't see the vision. She didn't feel it. And, you know, she believes in you and loves you. But, you know, more than likely, she's just giving you advice and feedback based off her own experiences and projecting her own, you know, doubts and insecurities that she had to go through growing up. You know?
And you have to appreciate it, too, because, you know,
it's out of love.
At the end, they love you,
love,
you know, so it's you got to be conscious of that.